Today I'm going to talk to you about why Alberta is the best place in Canada to invest in real estate right now. I'm going to give you 5 reasons and we're going to talk about it, okay? But before we do, yesterday I was just on the patio, 15 degrees outside with my friends. They were like drinking beer, eating and all that, we were having fun. Today, check this out. Snowing. Today it's snowing. This is one thing you should know about Calgary. They're saying if you don't like the weather, just wait 30 minutes. It's gonna change. So I'm gonna start with number 1 and I'm gonna give you one of the most important right now. And I'm gonna give you the most important at the end. But number 1 is landlord-tenant rules. And this is super important, guys, because before you invest in any state, any province, any country, anywhere in the world, you got to figure out what are my rights, what can I do as a landlord, and what I should do if somebody's not paying rent, right? So if your tenant is not paying rent for a month, even for a few days, even let's say right now is March, right? So your tenant's coming in and they're saying, listen, I don't have money. You're like, okay, I understand. I'll give you 2 weeks. You give them 2 weeks, they don't pay rent, it's all good. You can start the process to take them out in 1 month to 2 months maximum. And this is checked with people that I know, with investors that I know, and with friends that have over 30 homes that had to take people out, unfortunately, like this. So in 30 to 60 days, you can take people out. You go through the process and you go through the court, you get the sheriff and you get them out. So that's number 1 in this sector. Let's make this point A in this sector. Point B here is the rents. So the rents are, let's say you get rent $1,000 and you have a tenant that's on a contract for a year or more than a year. Now you can raise the rent. So you can raise the rent at however, it's how you want it, as much as you want. Now, obviously, you cannot raise it too much because of the market. So if the market rent is $1,200 and you're gonna raise it to $1,400, your tenant is gonna leave, right? Or he's gonna say, listen, I found a better deal, I'm gonna go there, I'm thinking of this, he's gonna try to negotiate, right? But what you can do is, let's say your market rent is $1,200, you can raise it at $1,150. If the market rent is at $2,000 and you haven't raised rent in a year, or you haven't done anything the last year, you can go in and raise rent to $1,900. There's no cap, there's no maximum. This is very important for landlords to know. You gotta keep this in mind. You gotta know this before you invest in a country or anywhere in a city. You gotta know what are the rules for this, okay? Now, a pro tip here is why I'm saying $1,900 is because your tenant is gonna get the bill and is gonna look at it. He's gonna be like, oh, $1,900. Let me see what's out there. Out there is like $2,000, $2,100, $2,200. So always raise it to $50, $100 less than the market, because like that you're gonna keep a good tenant and you're gonna be happy. Everything's gonna be okay, and you're gonna keep rolling. So because this is where you're losing money, where you're going to have an empty month, you're going to have an empty unit, right? You're going to have people moving out, and then in that month, you're going to have to find somebody else. So just lower it a little bit. Don't be greedy. Be nice to people. And like that, people are going to stay in. If you like them, they're going to stay in. You take care of them. They take care of you. And from there on, we go into the next point. Point number C here, under number 1 still. You gotta think about this. So this is super important again. So point number C is that you can ask for a deposit. As soon as they're getting in and they say, hey, I want to rent your place, you can say, sure. You're gonna give me your first month rent and you're gonna give me a deposit. You can do the deposit as high as the rent. In Ontario or Vancouver, you're doing first and last. But if you're doing first and last, they're gonna use that as a rent. If you're doing a deposit, let's say somebody's getting out, you can use the deposit to clean the apartment. You can use the deposit to patch up holes. You can use the deposit to do things like that. So that protects you even more. Let's say they have a pet and they're destroying the place. You can use the deposit to do that. So I love that. I love that. Number 2, we got a robust economy. So we got a strong economy. We got energy, agriculture, and technology sectors. So jobs, there's enough jobs. Most of the people that came here that I talked to, that I helped moving to Calgary, they told me it was easy for them to find a job, or most of them came with a job. So that wasn't an issue. Now, depending what sector you're in, but what I want to say is that that's a safe bet, depending on the cities where you want to invest in Alberta. But Calgary, Edmonton, anywhere around Calgary, actually there's more potential in cities that are closer to Calgary because they're smaller and they need a lot of housing. They still need places to go up for rent. There's still a lot of people that are doing like blue collar jobs most of the time, or there's even people that are coming from other cities working from home and they need a place to live in. So it's a very good economy so far. Right now we're looking at prices. Prices are getting stabilized a little bit in the rental sector. So we can talk about that next. You can hear Odie as she's not letting me film the video. Are you gonna let me film? So number 3 would be rent prices. And the way rent went up here in Calgary in the last 2 to 3 years, it's been crazy. So easily 40 to 50% up, and this is verified. You can go and check. So anywhere from $1,000 you would go to $1,500, right? Some places went to $1,800. So there's, depending on areas and depending on places, things went up like a lot on the rental market. But right now, in the last 6 months, things are getting stabilized. So what does that mean? So basically, they went up too fast, too soon. And right now, we have more inventory since the last summer. So we have about like 8,000 properties for rent right now in Calgary. And usually we got like 4,000. This is just on, this is just on Rent Faster. So if you're checking Rent Faster, there's not too many places there you can check here. Rent Faster, Facebook Marketplace. If you want to check on MLS, we don't do rentals on MLS, so you cannot really check the data. The best and accurate way to check the data here is on Rent Faster, which doesn't give us too much data, but I know how to look for it. If you have questions about that, let me know. I'll show you a way to look for it and where you can find your data about rentals. Now, the prices went up, so there's more opportunity. Obviously, the prices of condos, houses, multifamily went up, but the rents are still sustaining. It's still very affordable. Rents are still good. The deals are still working. And a lot of deals are working with 5% down, guys, in multifamily, right? And a lot of houses, they're still working with 20% down if you're looking to get an up and down, or a fourplex with 20% down easily. If you're looking to move here in a fourplex, you can live in one side. You can rent the other 3 out, there's options. So this is one thing that you should know about. And Calgary right now, it's getting a lot more rentals on the market, a lot more inventory. But there is some good news. Lately, in the last 4-5 weeks, I've seen some good changes in the market. So right now, the spring market is coming, and you can tell, you can feel it. So right away, numbers are changing. From like 8,000, I saw it drop pretty nicely to 7,500. Now it went up again to 7,700, but you see it drop, go back again, drop, but like it's dropping to like towards more normal numbers. Right now, I just rented 2 places out, one for a client and one for myself. There's no issues renting the places out. I had enough tenants, and actually like A+ tenants. In my place, I had like more than 10 applicants. This was a place in Red Deer. So this was easily rentable because the city is small, is 100,000 people, and there were like just a lot of demand. And then Calgary was actually very good to rent out as well because it was a good location. So be careful which location you're getting into, obviously. And if you're getting a location that is so, you gotta control the price, right? So this was in Calgary, Mission. We had like 3 applicants, and it was very easy, very straightforward, very good credit scores, very good jobs, amazing. So the place is rented out already. Now we're going into number 4, which is gonna be the migration, the immigration and the migration from cities to cities. So from basically Edmonton to here. There's a lot of people that I talk to, and they're like, I don't want to live in Edmonton, I'm moving to Calgary. But then obviously from Vancouver, from Toronto. So the more Toronto and Vancouver they're gonna suffer, the more they're gonna migrate towards Calgary. So this is like, we have people from our own country, they just want to come here, right? And we've seen that a lot in the last 2 to 3 years, and we're gonna see that more and more. The more they suffer, the more we're gonna thrive, because prices here are still affordable. It's always sunny. Look, it's bright, right? Right now it's snowing, but like obviously it's winter. But what I'm trying to say is that the weather is not bad. It's always sunny. You're close to the mountains. People are nice. It's affordable. There's a lot of reasons for them to come here. And we've seen that a lot. And now what's happening, and what I think is going to happen, especially with Toronto and Vancouver, there's a lot of places that are going to be up for renewal this year. Here as well, obviously. But here people are going to be able to afford it. But Toronto and Vancouver, prices are up. And right now, going from a rate of like 1% to a 3-4% mortgage rate, they're going to be not in a good place. So let's just say there's going to be more of that. And also the markets right now, Vancouver and Toronto, they're not stable at all. They're like very, very in a bad situation. And I have a lot of people there, a lot of friends and people that own properties there, and prices are going down. It's not looking good, right? So we're going to get in number 5. This is the last point, and this is also a very important one, because this is also on the money side. So we're talking about taxes, and we're talking about what extras you have to pay to get into a property here. So number 1 is that we have only the 5% GST. We don't have HST. We don't have the 13-15% like other provinces do. So if you want to paint the apartment and paint costs you $300, guess what? You're going to pay only 5% on that. If you want to get a cleaner and clean the place, and you're going to pay them $300 plus tax, you're going to pay them $300 plus 5%. So all those services, all those things, you're going to pay only 5% on it, okay? So the tax is lower here. That's number 1. Number 2, if you're buying a property here, what's nice about it is that you're not going to pay a land transfer tax. There's some point on the taxes here is the land transfer tax that you have to pay in Ontario, in BC. So you have to pay anywhere from 1 to 2% depending on the purchase price. Now in Alberta, there's no land transfer tax. There's only a registry fee, which is like a few $100, like very low, very, very low compared to 1 to 2%. So if you're buying a $1 million house, you got to pay 10 grand or more. In Ontario, let's say, in Calgary, you got to pay like under $1,000, like 500 around there. Like it's under 500. But depending on the price, it's very, very low compared to $10,000. So that's going to save you some money on closing. Now, another sub point here, which is my last but not least, going to be the property tax on properties. Property tax is actually a little bit cheaper than what I see in other provinces. It's a very good, it's usually all over the place. This is the rule. The rule of thumb is 1%, but here you're going to get a lot of properties that are under 1%. So depending on what you're buying, where you're buying, how the property looks like, you can get pretty good property taxes as well. So just to summarize this video, here I just gave you 5 reasons why you should invest in Alberta's real estate, and you should stop sleeping on it. The world is not ending. Everything we see on the internet, it's always gonna be like, oh, look at this, look at that, just to keep you looking somewhere else. Look at the right investments, where you're gonna put your money, what's gonna grow in the future, and Alberta is one of them. Do not sleep on it, and stop wasting your money in Ontario and Vancouver. Bring the money to Alberta, where you're gonna be multiplying it tenfold. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. First of all, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting my channel. Subscribe, give me a like, give me a comment. Let me know what do you want me to talk about next. What do you want to know more about? I'm boots in the ground here in Alberta, and I can help you guys make the right move. See you next.